you doing? Happy New Year from all of us at Wicked Women. It is Sunday, the 4th of January, the first Sunday of 2026. I cannot believe that Christmas and New Year just ran away so quickly. I was like, I'm not ready for it. And it's lovely to be here. I am coming to you live from London, UK, and it is a very cold and icy London right now. We have lots of white stuff on the ground, not snow, but sort of lots of icy stuff, and hopefully some more snow, because I love it, is on its way. Although this country kind of falls apart with a bit of snow. And also, apologies for New Year's Eve. We normally do a New Year's Eve show, but unfortunately we had to postpone that till next year. So you'll just have to come back next year and we'll do it all over again. But here we are, our first show. And I believe this is show number 51. And actually, we've been on the air a few years now. So we're doing well. So if you could all like, share and subscribe and tell your mates and their mates and tell them to come here on a Sunday night, because it's Wicked Women. What would you do on a Sunday without us? Now, a little bit of a different show tonight. I am your host of Wicked Women, as you well know, and I have a lovely co-host, but she is unavailable today. So we wish her a very speedy recovery, Val. And I was so looking forward to doing this show with her. But unfortunately, she can't be here. So send all your well wishes to her. So I have a lovely companion who's very, very handsome, and he's coming in to, as you know, he's part of the Wicked Women team. And I'm going to bring Michael in from Virginia. Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. How are you? I was going to say, this is show 53.
Is it 53? I thought it was 53.
Yeah. Same as my age. I can remember that.
Because I thought with New Year's Eve one that was 52. So actually, I think this is 52. But wow, I can't believe how many years. It's 2 years or 3
years? Yeah, 2 years. I think. Yeah, I don't know. And Carlene would know. She could put it in the comments.
Carlene can find out for us.
Hello,
Keith. Hi, Steve. Hi, Carly. I need to put my glasses on because I can't see everybody.
Uncle Edward is also in the comments.
I have to check. Let me see. Now I can see everything. Steve, how is everyone? Did you all have a great Christmas and New Year? Because that was the last time we were here, wasn't it? It was Christmas. I have a dog here, and I am threatening him with his toy because he's being quiet right now, but I don't know how long that'll last. So tonight's show, I've got my hot water bottle here to help with my back. Frisky at 50. Are we frisky at 50, Michael?
Yes, some of us are. It's some more than others. And I was thinking about this earlier when we talked and figured out that I was coming in early, because most of the time I come in later. I can have time to take my notes and do my stuff that I do while I'm waiting to come on. And I was thinking, and I told the story about my grandfather. My grandfather was frisky in his 80s, and they sent me down and it's like, hey, you need to get your grandpa, out of the sunroom. He's under the blanket with his female friend. And he pulled bro code on me. He's like, hey, would I interrupt you? I was like, no, sir. He said, well, I expect the same respect. And I'm like, okay, well said. And I went back, and I know my mom, she was standing there. She had all of them had their arms crossed. He's like, you need to go get your grandfather. I'm like, can't do it. He pulled bro code. I said, just can't do it. So, he's 80. So people are different. Some people are more, that they, and I hear, 50 is the new 30 and all this. And I'm thinking, some mornings, I sleep on the wrong pillow and I hurt my neck. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And it's like,
it's interesting though, isn't it? Because when I was younger, looking at 50 seemed so old.
Oh, yeah. Ancient.
It seemed like, oh God, I never, they're so old at 50, but now we're actually there. It's kind of like, oh hell. And really, I'm Generation X, the same as you.
Oh yeah.
And we have the mentality and definitely that it's like we're not the age that we are. We're like 50s,
Yeah,
sort of 30.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the way it is. It kind of is. But for women and men, is very, very different because
absolutely.
female menopause. I know you've got the male menopause as well, both of them. But for me, I started going into menopause around about, I believe it was around 38, 39. And the only reason I knew that was because I was trying to have a baby. I was trying to have IVF, and they started me on drugs and injectables, and they called me in and they said, there's no easy way to say this, but you're actually premenopause, and it's not going to
Yeah,
happen. We've left you too late, because I've been on the IVF list 8 years.
yeah,
So I was around 38, 39, and for a while things didn't seem to show any sign of.
yeah.
There was the hot sweats, and I'm telling you, Michael, when people talk about the hot sweats, I felt like I was on fire inside. I felt like there was a fire coming out of my body and burning me, because it was so awful. I never had the night sweats. I never had all that. God, all I had was hot sweats. I would be constantly, um, oh my God, stick my head in the freezer, and I felt like I was on fire. That was literally how it began for me, and then became the emotional side, where
Yeah.
you start crying and you don't know why, and you're angry, more angry than you've ever been in your life, and
And your partner's the enemy for no reason. You're mad
yeah,
at him for no reason. And
seriously, and
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
just, there wasn't really many changes physically to my body, and then they started, and then
Um,
that's been a horrible journey.
like I said, I've been here by myself for a long time, and I'll sit here and I'll look at the people around me, and we all age. Some of us age more gracefully than others, and some people, they're timeless. They never age, which they're lucky, good genetics. But I remember they had put my mom on some kind of medication, and I was a hardened combat veteran. Nothing scared me. I come in, you didn't know if he was going to get a hug around the neck or he's going to get bashed, and it got so bad. I finally went and seen her doctor, and I'm like, look, he's like, due to hip, I cannot discuss what we have put her on or whatever. I said, no, look, dude, I'm not discussing shit with you. All right. I said, here's what I am to tell you. Either you adjust her dose or she's going to come live with you.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, no, no, no. I was like, oh, yes. And you know what? They figured out real quick that was not the medication for her. And that's another thing that I figured out. You got to have a competent doctor for men or women. And a lot of times drugs ain't the answer for it. And I did some research the other day about the menopause and stuff like that. And now they're doing a lot of stuff with stem cell research, that they can take your own stem cells, and it takes you there. Well, there's no beating Father Time. He's undefeated.
No.
But he can, but with the technology they have now, they can slow it down. And the same with the men. It can bring your T levels back up if you did the stem cell stuff. But I have heard stories of men going to like Tractor Supply or one of these veterinary places,
Yep.
and getting the T shots that is made for bulls, and injecting them into their thighs. And I'm thinking, but they are so afraid if their little friend don't participate no more, that they have lost their masculinity or their manhood.
I,
And
I appreciate that, because as a woman, I certainly
yeah,
feel like in some ways I've lost my femininity, because
and and we tie so much of it together.
I mean, you and I have talked, and you've seen me go through
Yeah,
really good days and really bad. And it's like, as a woman, I'm so sorry. I've got he's driving mad. Down you go. Down, down. I I wake up some days and I'm just like, my body hurts, my joints hurt.
yeah,
I can't move my fingers. There's sex drive. What's that? What
yeah,
is a sex drive? Because one minute it's sort of there, and then
yeah.
the next minute it's not. And then there's all the physical symptoms that go with that,
Oh
with
yeah.
pain and everything. So since I've gone into menopause, it's completely changed my life. And I wanted to just bring up, um, something about, so when you know you're in true menopause is when you've gone 12 months without a period of any kind, because that's when they actually say, yeah, you've gone 12 months now, you're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And most people believe that menopause happens around the age 52. That's not true. There are
No.
many women that go through it early. And just to remind, if anyone doesn't know, menopause is when your ovaries stop producing reproductive hormones,
Yeah.
estrogen, whichever way you want to
Yeah.
call it, and progesterone. And
Whatever
also,
side of the pond you're on, right?
yeah, yeah. And there are three stages of menopause. So perimenopause, which is just before it, menopause, and then postmenopause. So I think most people look forward to that postmenopause. But at the end of the day, I'm in menopause right now, and it is not good at all. And the average age, they say in the United States, is 52, which I can't believe that, because for
No.
me, mine was in my 40s when it started.
And I have talked to like different women. Like I said, I ask a lot of the questions that a lot of men are afraid to ask, and I have no more common sense than I ask it. But I've heard 38 a lot.
Yeah,
A lot of women tell me 38, and and I've done my research on this, and I always say knowledge is the best tool in your toolbox that you can have on any battle.
sure.
And there was some funny clips that came up that was attached to the subject of menopause and what marriages go through or relationships. And there's an older movie clip that I saw. He said under the age of 18, women are protected by the law. Over a certain age, they're protected by Mother Nature, and everywhere in between, it's fair game. And I thought, but when I was young, I'd have never understood that joke. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And now I'm thinking, "Oh, that's pretty cool." Then I seen the other one that said, when he got with his wife, he was happy, horny, and all good times on the wheel. You got up, you spun the wheel. He said, then after a certain age, and body starts changing, the attitude starts changing. It's like complacency kind of moves in, and it's like bitchy, grouchy shit, and it's like, and if anybody's been in a long term relationship, and they can kind of see the stages, and that's like I've said here before, the best thing is to do is communication. Talk to your spouse, your partner, significant other. And menopause symptoms can be brought on by medical problems like hysterectomies, or I know,
Endometriosis,
yeah,
polycystic ovaries, and also
yeah,
mine. I mean, I had endometriosis, so every single month I felt like I was being ripped apart. But
and
I
cervical
did,
cancer. Yeah, that was another one. And that I got a friend, she has cervical cancer, and everybody's like, oh, they just take your or whatever. And but what they don't realize is they're taking all of that natural hormones
yeah,
away from a woman's body, and it sends her body into shock because
yeah,
unless you do synthetic hormone replacement, there's no easy way to go into it.
sure. I mean, the thing is, my friend had to have her womb and ovaries taken out because she carried the gene for cancer. So she
Yes.
ended up having to take hormones,
Yeah.
for the rest of her life. I mean, that's a massive shock.
Yeah, but
Um,
then I think Steve said his late wife had
yeah,
intermittent, and I have seen a lot more of the endometriosis. I got an ex-wife that had that, and we didn't part on great terms, but I would not wish what that woman went through once
no,
or every 28-day cycle on
it was it was
nobody.
it was
It was horrible.
literally, and it's something I might do a podcast on, because literally, they're trying to do so much more for endometriosis, but it was literally like you dread your period,
Yeah,
because I ended up the whole time in pain, taking drugs, in and out of the bath, in hospital, like it's like you're being ripped apart inside. It is
yeah.
awful. And obviously, when menopause, you think, oh, you're going to get night sweats, the hot flashes, but it wasn't just that; it was insomnia. I can't. I still get really bad insomnia. I can't
And
sleep.
what did I say? Brain fog.
Yeah,
That's
brain
that's
fog,
one. That's another one that I seen was brain fog. I'm thinking,
depression,
yeah,
mood swings. Keep going for a pee. I am up and down all night going for a pee, and ever since I've reached that area, and those hormones have started to die in me. And
Yeah.
some of us can't take chemical hormones, some of us can't take estrogen project, we just don't do well with it. So we're like, well, what do you do? And one of the main problems is, and I want to see if I can do this word without getting it wrong, vaginal atrophy, I think is the word, which basically means inside a woman that everything's getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, and basically it's drying up. And if you can't take hormones, you can't have a sex easily because you're going to be ripped apart.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're going to feel not a woman, not feminine, because you're terrified to have sex or to tell someone, look, I don't want to have sex because this is so painful. And also, some people still get their periods in menopause. Obviously, I've gone 12 months now, but I think for me it was dry skin. My hair changed. I got dry eyes. It was my eyesight has got worse. Absolutely, my eyesight has got worse, and all my joints hurt. And you think, where is this coming from? And someone looks at you and they go, yeah, that'd be menopause.
Yeah, and that was another thing that I had seen a long time ago. It said, from the day you're born, your body starts dying.
Yeah.
And I thought, damn, that's dark, and a lot of times I sit here because I make everything red and it's usually that dark, whatever. But, this is a subject that I thought I'd brighten things up because with the technology that they have out now and the research.
Oh, we lost Michael there. He'll be back in a minute. We lost you. Are you back?
Okay.
You're back now. What you were saying about technology?
And, they're talking about the AI research and the quantum computing. There is a lot of research that they're doing to keep people young and to keep people like fertile or whatever. And that's where I found the stem cell research. I think I sent it to you. And I'm like, wow, that's neat. And they said that if they get it early enough, they can extend a woman's reproductive cycle. And I'm thinking, I want to know what have got us where women are having these issues at 38. Because I know women growing up, which I grew up in the country, these women was having babies like 58 years old, and they just kept on churning and churning. I don't know if it's the hormones in the food that are doing it to men and women both. Because, they said right now that the T levels in men are the lowest they've ever been in history.
Yeah.
And I hear that. Then I hear that women are going into premenopause at like 35 years old. My mom had my youngest brother at 35 years old.
Yeah, a lot of people have last minute babies. My mom pretty much was the same with me. The thing is, with menopause, for a woman, her ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, and they control your menstruation. So estrogen also influences your calcium level and maintains I can never get this right, cholesterol levels in your blood. Now, the thing is, your bones start changing as well. So, all of a sudden you've gone from being this fabulous to someone who's really, really struggling. And I think
and frail,
they do lots of blood tests, like, have you gone 12 months without a period? They'll do blood tests on you to check your hormone level. And they'll offer you treatment, hormone therapy, either taking a patch, using the cream, or taking drugs. And hormone replacement therapy, the first thing they say to me when I went to a doctor, do you want HRT? And I said, well, tell me what that's going to do to my body. They said, well, the problem is you had endometriosis and you had fibroids. And if we give you HRT, there's every chance that they could start to grow back.
Yeah, cause cancer. Everything causes cancer. Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want to have fibroids again. They're shrinking and dying. I don't want to have endometriosis come back.
No.
And she was saying, the patch, there's also a risk of cancer. Of course, there is always a
Yes.
risk of cancer with these things, and that terrifies people. But I guess it's each person's different. What works for one person won't work for another. And Val, if she was here, she would say of all the trouble she's had when
Yes.
she was on HRT and then when she came off HRT, because she's had to come off. And for me, I am still sitting here
Uh,
and wondering what to do because
Carlene,
they've not offered me anything.
Carlene just popped up and she said they don't offer HRT in the U.S. no more. So it must be something that causes problems. And I have did some research on the HRT, and they said that the withdrawals coming off hit could wreck your body just as much as the low hormone levels. And that's the reason I was looking at the stem cell and the alternative medicine for that, because nobody don't want to be fighting one problem and turn around and cause another problem, which starts with cancer. Nobody wants that. And it's like there has to be a solution, and that's why I'm saying, with the quantum computing and stuff, and I read like a whole article for like 40 minutes. I'm thinking maybe this will find the answers that we don't know that we need or didn't know we needed.
I think in years to come, they'll definitely have more ways around it. But I mean, they offered me
Yeah.
the patch, and I still have it upstairs. I'm tempted. The pill, no, they offered me the cream. I tried the cream, and my body every time. Now, because I had endometriosis, I had to take 9 different versions of the pill.
Yeah.
And if I took a pill with too much estrogen in it, my hands would start to go like this. I would have headaches and migraines and almost like a thrombosis attack. It was horrible. So I had to have more progesterone. So I don't do well with too much estrogen. And there's a vaginal ring, there's gel, there's a spray, but then you've got to take a progesterone. You've got to have a progesterone pill, whatever you take of estrogen, because you have to even it up. But some women do wonderful on it, and we can't knock it, because if it works for you and it's changed your life, then that's amazing. But some of us can't do it. And if you have a family history of blood clots, which I do, then there's another thing. So what they're saying to you is that you could change what you eat, try and avoid triggers, physical exercise, all kinds of things to help you, because you are what you eat, right? So if you're eating a lot of sweet stuff, a lot of sugar and stuff like that, caffeine, spicy foods, all of this can make it worse. So what they're saying is take more soybeans, have chickpeas, have lentils, flaxseed grains, and all the good stuff like fruits and veggies. They will really help. And I need to do that. I need to add more of that stuff. You used to be able to buy this menopause bread, and it had all the good stuff in it. And people swore about, women were swearing about this bread, saying you got to try it. It's been a game changer. I need to find that, because literally, and then as your figure, it really changes your figure, because I have an hourglass figure, and I work hard to keep that. And all of a sudden, it's like there was extra bits coming and going, and you're like, oh my God, now it's starting to go back to as it was. But literally, it was like I didn't want to have 3 bottoms, 2 chins. And the worst thing is your boobs, because, I love my girls, and I was like, please don't let menopause take them from me. And so, a lot of people, I'm going to come to menopause, and that's where I'm going to bring you in. But if they're giving you birth control pills, antidepressants, gabapentin, apparently people take that flashes. I mean, wow.
And hit these holes in your brain, because I'm like, no. And
is it oxybut? I can't pronounce this.
Oxycodone.
A medication for overactive bladder that also treats hot flushes. So osteoporosis is the one that we have to worry about as we get older, because our bones, we have less estrogen, which protects our bones, and then obviously that causes them to snap.
That's the reason you see a lot of the older women, and like my mom worked in there or something, and I've seen a lot of the little old women, and and they kind of draw in, and and that's what it is. Their bones are shrinking inside their frame, and it's really sad. And yeah, she's talking about all the healthy food and no caffeine, and I'm over here chugging Mountain Dews. Uh, but like,
Well, they reckon you lose 25% of your bone mass from the time of menopause to 60. That is
yeah,
scary.
it is.
25%, right? Because of
Yeah,
estrogen.
and a lot of them I've seen. Like I said, I've been very blessed to be around people and learn a lot of knowledge over the years just by being kind of in the right spot at the right time. And but brittle bone syndrome, and I didn't know that. And they had a lot of the little ladies up there that, and they would say, "Oh, if he's going to take Miss Such and So out, you got to be really." Gentle with her, because if you bump her, like just pushing her in a wheelchair, and if her elbow was out, you could have shattered her arm. And at the time, I was a really young man. I'm in the army. I'm falling, jumping, kicking, and getting hit. And I'm thinking, I never want to get so I can't even be pushed in a wheelchair without afraid of being fractured or something. And but it all goes back to the hormones in your body. And like you said, you are what you eat. And a lot of
Yeah.
people treat their body like a temple. And I get that. If you put garbage in, you get garbage out. And the hormones in the food and stuff like that. I know we have different laws in the states than y'all do in the UK, and I can testify. Some of the stuff that I tried to send to her in the UK, the Royal Post looked at it, and was like, that shit ain't coming in our country. And I was like, oh, okay. And it even got where I called them. I was like, hey, can I send this? And they're like, nope, thank you, cheerio, have a nice day, fuck off. And I'm like, wow. And now we're starting to get so people understand more of the. Oh, there's a bee.
I think that people don't. I think people don't talk about.
No,
They mention the menopause, and they're just
yeah,
like, and but for me, it's like it's ruined my life in some ways. It has affected me so much, physically, that the worst. I mean, sometimes I want to sleep. I'm so
yeah.
desperate to sleep at night, and I'm like, please, and in some
That,
ways,
does it affect your melatonin also?
yeah.
That is one thing that I need to look into more. But no,
And then depression, anxiety, and I don't think I have noticed I'm a lot more aggressive than I used to be. And
I
it's
think we get that with age. One day you wake up and you're like, they said, "Oh, did
yeah,
you?" And that's like I told somebody. I said, "I don't even look either way when I cross the street anymore. I'm just like,
yeah,
fuck it, send it." And I think that's the same, with male or when as you get a certain age. My mom always said one day she woke up and her bullshit meter had just broke. She didn't care no more, and it's like, wow, and I used to think that was funny, but the older I get, the more I kind of see that purpose. It's like, who cares? And I'm like,
so let's have a look at, because we want to get to the frisky side, obviously, but let's
oh,
have
oh
a look
yeah.
at andropause, which is male menopause.
Oh, I didn't know we had a name for it. I just thought it
It's
was
called
depression.
andropause, which is, if you think about it, everything is pause,
Yeah,
menopause, andropause. It means cease, stop.
that's all I was going to say. Yeah, yeah. All the fun things in your life and all your bits and bobs that used to be fun quit
And
working. They went on strike.
it says that basically andropause is a term that describes um, testosterone decreasing.
Yeah,
It means testosterone production in men declines about 1% per year, much more gradually than estrogen do in women, and not as drastic as women, but it does carry some of the side
yeah,
effects. But most men don't even notice that until some years and decades have gone past, and then they'll start to get problems due to low testosterone.
yeah. ED, midlife crisis. You buy the Corvette, you divorce your wife, get a young trophy wife that you cannot afford either. And I think a lot of it is, and I can tell. And when your T levels drop, your energy levels drop. And a lot of people here think I'm a vampire. My sleep cycle is so off the chart from the PTSD and the other health issues I have. I'm like, wow. Everybody's like, well, go to bed at 9:30 and wake up at 7 like you used to. I wish I could. But and it's like, but your energy levels, and I remember being young, growing up on a farm. I could build fence and dig post holes and move big, heavy stuff day in and day out. Just like a workhorse. And now, if I have to go check the mail, I make sure I don't pull my hamstring. And I'm like,
It is weird, and you don't. It takes longer to get over an injury.
oh yeah,
And
yeah, that's
um,
another thing. Yeah, it's like,
but
yeah,
I did date someone a couple of years ago, and they had no sex drive whatsoever, and they said in my head, but my body's not responding, and they did a blood test and discovered they had so low testosterone,
yeah,
and it explained why they had hardly any energy. They put weight on.
yeah,
They were no sex drive. They had erectile dysfunction. They had mood swings. They had so many issues, and I don't think
yeah,
they put it two and two together. I think they just
no,
thought, I'm going through a bit of a bad time. But actually, a lot of
yeah.
men find it very hard to go to the doctors and
Oh yeah,
ask for
that
help.
that's what I said. If my and all these guys like, oh, I couldn't. It's like, you know, yeah, and same way with a woman with her provider, her with her OBGYN or gyno. You find you a doctor that you can speak openly with and truthfully with. They cannot help you unless you actually tell them this is going on.
Yeah.
What kind of medication or what can I do to fix this? And I tell the people always bashes the VA. My nurse practitioner, very, very sweet, lovely lady. I cannot say enough nice things about her because I know people have shitty experiences with the Veterans Administration. And even her nurse, very lovely lady. And I told her one day, I was like, look, this is what's going on. She's like, oh, it's about that time, Michael. You're great as fuck. And I'm like, okay, so what do we do? She went in, typed on her laptop. She's like, it'll be in the mail in like 5 to 6 business days. I'm like, okay, cool. And it was like the vitamins and everything. And she said, she's like, most men would never come in. And it's their job to be professional, but
Or come
everybody
in and
is.
ask.
That's it. But people are so afraid that they're going to be the only one in the crowd. And
Sure.
men are stupid when it comes to that. And I have said this before. If you can't fix it with black tape and an old dirty shop towel, they're not going to fix it because they think if they have to take the little blue pill or they have to adjust their diet or anything that's, as I said, and I've said this before and they got tickled. I said, men are very trainable. On the same hand, once that old dog has been trained, it's hard to retrain him into a different mindset. That's how come men die
We're,
of
we're told
testicular cancer
we're told that men
or
are supposed to be strong and
that's it.
masculine, and women
Yeah.
are supposed to be feminine. And when
And
you don't
delicate.
feel
Yeah.
it, when you don't look it, when your body's not responding, it
Yeah.
affects you mentally, because male menopause apparently late 40s to early 50s, gentlemen. And some of the symptoms are depression, lack of sex drive, erectile dysfunction, mood swings,
Yeah.
irritability, loss of muscle mass and
Yeah.
reduced ability to exercise, fat redistribution, and having a large belly or even
Yeah.
man boobs,
Yeah.
lack of enthusiasm or energy, difficulty sleeping or being tired all the time, poor concentration, and short term memory. Now, Michael, thankfully for you guys, it's a little bit easier to get this sorted, isn't it?
Yeah. Most of the time, I went in and they checked my levels, and and like I said, I'm very blessed with a good care team at my local, and I think Wendy's been on the phone when I talk to them, and they're funny, what I'm saying, but they're at the end of the day, if you cannot speak openly to your doctor for a man or a woman, and if you think they're judging you or whatever, you might need to find a different doctor because like I said, these ladies, they've always looked after me. I went in. They said, "Oh, we're going to do some lab work. You hold your arm out." The worst part of it was the lady that draws the blood. I told her, I said, "I'm a big old guy, but I like a butterfly needle." She come at me like with something you look like you throw darts. I'm like, oh, okay, shit. And she's like, "Oh, you ain't gonna pass out, are you?" I was like, "Not if you don't go through my elbow. I won't." And And they got the lab report back, and they could tell you your T levels are here, all your other hormones and everything, your vitamin C is low, your B12 is low, and even B12. I get the B12 shots now because it helps with my energy
You're
and
so
with the
lucky.
headaches from the mini stroke I had October a year ago. And I tell them, which I smoke, and that's another thing that men have to watch out for, because your little buddy is an appendage, and when you start losing, like the circulation in your toes and your fingers, you can lose circulation in him too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and diabetes is another thing that hits men really, really hard for
Yeah.
sexual dysfunction. And I know people that's got diabetes, and it's like they really, really have to fight to keep their male sexual health going. And it's hard to be frisky at 50 if one, you don't have no energy,
Yeah.
two, you don't have no motivation, and three, you can't remember where you parked your woman. You know what I'm saying? When you got short term memory loss, it's like, oh, where did I put her? And so that's what I tell people, but right now we have the technology, and, from one man, what I'm saying, and all the ladies here know, what I'm saying, I'm much a man. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take care of my male sexual health
You have.
because, and like I said, and all these people are talking about, oh, he died of ball cancer. Well, don't he wash them, or is he too embarrassed to go?
A lot of guys do. I mean, I think a
Yeah,
lot of people don't
yeah,
talk about it, and I think
no,
we're
they don't.
encouraged to, but it's like, um, and I remember years ago, everyone talked about Viagra and how when
Yeah,
Viagra came out, how the little blue pill, for guys, it was
yeah,
amazing. And I was dating someone who had some issues, and they took the
yeah,
blue pill. And the thing about Viagra, obviously, you take it, and for it
uh-huh,
does the job, and it stays hard and everything, and then it's just
yeah.
kind of like goes down. But there are other pills now, which is like I believe it's called
There's Cialis,
yeah, which is the
and
weekender, isn't it?
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, they call it. Yeah, you take that thing on a Friday night with a glass of wine, and you're good to go all weekend.
Yeah,
And like I said, it's easier for men a lot of times to take care of that, because a lot of times if you got poor circulation or whatever, one pill, you put it under your tongue, shot of Mountain Dew or any drink that you can wash a pill down with, it takes care of that. Where women's are more, it's creams, it's the lotions, it's the but like I said, and another thing I seen was menopause can bring on breast cancer too. So, and that's another thing I was going to say, self
check your
examination. Yeah, self examination. Same way with the guys. And when I first seen that, and they're like, "Oh, this guy had this or whatever," I was like, I would notice if I had a third lump, and be like, "No, that ain't right. I need to get that checked out." And a lot of the women have breast cancer because they never check to make sure that there's no lumps or knots or hard spots. And and
and
that's
it's really painful. I mean, when they
yeah,
send you for I had my first one done,
yeah,
actually. I'm going to go for another one, but the woman I had was, honestly, I felt like she was like sergeant major, because
oh
literally
yeah,
she was like, right, you've got to put your boobs here, and
yeah,
she squeezed it down so much. I was in so much pain
yeah.
that I wanted to just punch her, and it
Um,
really I mean, I know it's uncomfortable, and some
yeah,
people are okay with it. I was in a lot of pain. But I would
I will,
suggest that ladies do keep a regular check on their boobs, as men do with the
yeah, yeah.
boys.
And normally I would not tell this story to nobody, but she's in the comments, and ain't Carlene probably don't me. And she said she had to go get it. She said, "I think that woman hates me." I said, "Why?" She said, "It hurts." She says she tries to squish them thin enough to, like read the newspaper through. And I'm like, oh, poor Aunt Carlene. She's been assaulted at the
Yeah,
at the mammogram place. And but I could tell that she had distress because she was not looking forward to being going to get her mammogram done, because it hurts. Unless you're into some really dark BDSM stuff, pain is not your friend. And And I wish there was an easier way for them to check the women for like breast cancer and the nodules and the knots and stuff in their breast. But that is the best technology that they've got right now, or at their offering. So we're kind of stuck with it.
Well, I was looking for what women can take for a low sex drive, because relationships, Michael, go down the pan
Yes,
when
they do.
people get a low sex drive. One
It
of you,
goes to like, oh, she don't want me, or what's wrong with me, and it's like,
you're
why can't I
scared.
turn her on? Yeah,
You're scared to have sex because, like, for instance, so I've had some issues, and ever since I've had menopause, those issues have got stronger, and I'm too scared in sometimes to have sex because I'm like, I
yeah.
know what's going to happen afterwards, and it's like I have to do this another way,
It's
or
it.
the
It's it.
one times that you do it. So you
It
know,
brings on trauma. It's like trauma because well, last time I did this,
yeah,
this was shit, and I don't, and nobody wants to take, and that's what I used to tell them, when you're young, backseat of a car or whatever, and it's like anywhere, anywhere that you could get 2 minutes of privacy, it was good to go. And now that I'm 53 years old, I have to go stretch. I put on my helmet in case I fall, and I put on my knee braces, my back brace. I'm like, give me a second, honey. Let me get all braced up here, and I'll give
brace
you the best.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I'll give you the best time.
But for me, it would be like bite down on this stick because it's so painful. But
Yeah,
I was just wondering what they give women for low libido, and apparently there's a pill. I don't know if we do this here. I've never been offered it, and it's called I'll try and pronounce this fleabanserin adi, which
yeah,
works on brain chemicals, and the injection bremel bremelanotide. I'll get this right now. Bremelanotide, Valesi, used before sex, which both have side effects like dizziness or nausea, especially if you have it with alcohol. There are natural supplements like maca, ginseng, and ashwag. I can never pronounce this. Waganda, something like that.
yeah,
No, I say it all the time, but tonight I can't. But I would say that I've always gone on the natural side of things.
yeah.
But you know
Ginseng
what?
is
There's some other drugs out there. I might be asking them about this.
ginseng was really big because that was like the Chinese
What?
herbal secret for a long time. And I'm like, and we used to go ginseng hunting here, and these guys used to pay like so much a pound for it. That was like the first like Chinese aphrodisiac. And and I've heard that, if you eat oysters, oysters out of the ocean will get everything rolling and moving. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know, but even and I tell anybody with age, take everything in moderation until you know how it's going to affect your body.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of old men that left witch widows when the little blue pill came out. Their boy might have felt like he was 18 again, but their heart was still 94.
But I think that relationships, as you say, you and I were talking about,
Yeah,
it really goes down the pan
it
because
does.
you're lying there next to someone and you want to have sex, but you're like, it's either not working or it's too painful or you're going to
Yeah,
get a UTI afterwards,
yeah,
or which I've had, and it's just like I'm too scared to even do it because I'm going to
yeah,
get a UTI, and the doctor's going, well, here you are, take the antibiotic so you can have it straight
yeah.
afterwards, and you're like, great.
It,
Um,
yeah, plan B is the antibiotics. That's never well.
Well,
Um,
it's because of fact, you're everything is so thin and dry down there
yeah,
now that you're more chance to get an infection,
yeah.
and to especially affect your bladder. So
There's
I've been taking ashwagandha. That's what I'm going to call it. And also I've had ginkgo biloba and ginseng. Well, some of these
oh,
names they come up with. Why can't you just come up with a really easy name? And
mm,
DHEA, which is a hormone that helps people with low libido. But I have one menopausal doctor at my practice, and all my other doctors, when you go and see them and you talk to them about it, they go, you need to go and see her. Well, you can't get an appointment for weeks.
no.
And when you do
What
get in
is
there,
it?
you've got 15 minutes with her.
The NHC right now, and like I said, a lot of people don't know this, but I've got screens up. You know, I'll be watching the news here, the news from the UK or whatever, and there's a real shortage of specialty doctors in the UK right now. And I think I called Wendy one morning and I asked her. I said, "They're paying these people 38,000 a year. That's chicken shit money. No wonder they're leaving to come to the states because with the private health care that we have here, you know, they can pay their student debt off really quick because it's not cheap to be a doctor." And it really worries me because they will be other women other than just her, you know, that runs into the same problems. They show up, they got a health issue that needs a specialist, and next thing you know, they're like, "Oh well, we wish we would have caught this in time, or we'd wish we would have caught that in time," and there's no excuse for that. And I'm like, wow. But
So I'm going to bring up some, I'm going to compare here. So here we have Hugh Jackman.
Yep.
This gentleman is over 50.
Wolverine. Yep.
He's over 50. He's a very attractive looking guy. He works incredibly hard on his body. He's sexy as hell, and everybody thinks, a lot of people love him to pieces. Now, he's seen as, you know, there he is at 50. He's looking amazing. We then come to a woman of similar age, and you have Sharon Stone.
Yep. And she was a baddie for a long time. I can confess.
Trying to organize this so we can actually get to see these pictures better. There we go.
Okay.
So you have Sharon Stone, and beautiful woman, incredibly sexy, over 50, and she's done quite a few articles about being over 50 and finding that going with younger guys, having sex with younger guys, is actually more fulfilling than sometimes with a guy her age, because she feels that some of the guys her age are intimidated, but also
Yeah.
have issues. And a lot of women get a higher sex drive in their 50s.
Yes.
It doesn't always go the other way.
No. Yeah, that is like not one glove fits all. And like I said, and everybody's body is independently different.
Mm.
What was it? Basic Instinct that she was in.
Basic
But
thing. Yeah.
but I tell you, the woman that is in her 50s that is timeless is the lady that played on Friends, Jennifer Anderson.
I do I have a, no, I don't have a picture. What I do have here, I've
Oh,
got
she's absolutely. Oh, Julie Roberts.
looking fabulous.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, some of these ladies do take extra things to help them. We also have
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie,
Yes.
who beautiful woman, over 50.
But she also had the double mastectomy because cancer ran in her family hard, and she did the preemptive strike to make
Yeah.
sure that she did not
Yeah.
get that.
Sandra Bullock,
Absolutely
another
gorgeous.
lady
Yeah,
who's just
absolutely
reached her
gorgeous. Yeah,
50s. And then we come to this lovely lad. I can't remember his name. It was Paul Rudd, isn't it? Paul
yeah,
Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Yeah, he played Ant Man. Yeah,
He looks pretty good for his age, isn't he? He's looking
yes,
pretty fabulous for being over 50. Obviously,
yeah,
this gentleman's well known, Mr. Brad Pitt.
yeah.
He doesn't look too bad for being over 50, does he?
He looks better than the other one that he does movies with. What's it? He did Casino or whatever. Oh, he did a lot of movies with him, and I
Are you
cannot remember.
talking about this lovely gentleman here?
Yeah, him. Yeah.
George Clooney. He looks fabulous, though, don't you think?
It looks, it's like he's been falling down here lately. I don't know, because I think Brad's aged better than him, and that's like, I went and got a haircut yesterday, and she was cutting my hair, and I thought, where the hell did all this gray hair come? You know, where did this old man with this gray hair sitting in a chair came? And but even 50s, that's like when we did the golf women, the lady that plays Elvira. You know, she's what, 76 years old or something. That woman, that's another one that's time, you know, just ancient beauty. It's just like, she never ages. She is so gorgeous. And I'm like, how do they do it? If they was a secret, they could bottle it and sell it and make tons of money.
A lot of women feel pressurized to have Botox and fillers, boob jobs, and all kinds of plastic surgeries to feel. And you do feel the pressure as a woman.
Yes. Yeah.
In that decade, you actually think to yourself, maybe I should have this done. Maybe I should have that done, because you feel that pressure.
Yeah.
Good. And I'm going to bring in. This is the lady who actually was our main on our promo, the gorgeous Pamela Anderson. Now,
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson is a woman
Baywatch, yeah.
I absolutely respect and adore. First of all, she's Canadian.
Yes.
Secondly, she does a lot for animal charities.
Yep.
She was one of my absolute idols as Barb Wire.
Yep.
And also lately, she's been round with no makeup on. She is literally not wearing loads of makeup. She's wearing minimal, and Hollywood went crazy over it. Oh my God, how could she come out without any makeup on? And yet she looked absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that's another thing that really ticks me off about the Hollywood is they're like, oh, if you don't look like this, you're not right, or you
Sure.
need to spend this money, and they always, it's like the old carnival barker. It's like, oh, here's my snake oil. If you buy this, you'll look just like me, or whatever. And and there's been people that's got in trouble because they're like, oh, if you take this, it's going to do this, this, and this. And come to find out, they're in the gym 9 hours a day. They got personal trainers. They got body people that's wrapping them and body sculpting and all that.
Mm.
And I always said I would rather see all natural. And I've told Wendy that before. And I tell her, I said, you're just as gorgeous without all the makeup and stuff as you are with it.
Well, that's
And
a lovely thing to hear because, but there is that pressure to
it
like
is.
to
It's like a false narrative that you can never reach because these people are done up, by professional makeup artists, which is their job to make them look good.
and also you think about Cher, people like Cher who are dating young
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
guys, right?
Madonna. And
Madonna.
yeah.
I think there's a reason. Do they actually wonder, or do they actually even care that these younger guys are looking at them going, "Oh God, your body's changed," whatever? Or do they actually love to be with an older woman because they're thinking, she can't have children anymore. She's been there, done it, ticked it off.
Mhm.
And obviously, younger women sometimes, as Val and I did in a previous show, prefer to have an older guy. But the reason I chose Pamela Anderson is because she had to almost justify why she was not wearing makeup, why
Yeah.
she had decided. And also, I read somewhere that she decided that she was sick of people trying to. She wanted to take control of her image. She
Yeah.
wanted to have control. So actually, by doing what she did, she took control.
Yeah.
No one was prepared for that.
No, because they have a certain narrative that they push. And she has went against the grain by coming out saying, look, we're all human. We don't wake up and crawl out of bed looking like this every day. And I remember her on Baywatch. I'm like, holy, that is one gorgeous woman.
She is.
And Kid Rock and Tommy from Motley Crue both would agree. But and it's like, what is the other one's? The lady, Diamonds Are Forever, whatever. Elizabeth Taylor, the one that's married like 9 times or whatever.
So,
She was in her 50s. Another absolutely timeless beauty of a woman.
yeah.
And I was going to say, I see Val had popped
should
into
be
the comments.
celebrating. We should be celebrating. We
Yeah.
should. First of all, it's actually a gift to get older. It's
It
actually
is.
a gift to get older, and to be around because our predecessors didn't live as long as
Oh
we are
no,
now. So it's actually a gift, and no one's guaranteed of it. And secondly, why are we? We're all going to get old. We're all
Yeah.
going to age. We don't all have the money, or don't all want to go around and put plastic, this, that, and the other. But
no.
yet, why do we feel this pressure? Why do we not celebrate the fact that, my boobs are great, but they were better when I was 35. But hey, I'm still here and I'm kicking, and that's what it's
And,
about, right?
and they're not trying to keep. And that's what I was going to say earlier. Is there's a few things that are undefeated. Mother Nature. You're not going to beat Father Time. You're not. Gravity's not your friend when you get older, male or a woman. And it's
No.
like, everything hangs a little lower. You know what I'm saying? I can about judge what kind of day it's going to be by the temperature of the toilet water if I sit down on the commode. I'm like, yeah, buddy.
This
Cameron
lovely lady
Diaz.
is in her 50s now, and I
That
love
is
her.
hard to
to pieces.
believe.
She's another one that now goes without makeup, and is more.
Kill Bill.
She married late. She had children late.
Yeah.
she's taking control of that. And also this lady, which I really love, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh
She's
yeah, Catwoman. Oh yeah,
a beautiful
absolutely.
woman. And I think that, there's something about a woman who is comfortable with her age, and
Yes.
also is sexy in her own body, and is like, this is, you dress to accentuate your body.
Yeah. Hmm.
You may not be dressing with a skirt up your ass all the time, but you
Yeah.
are, feeling. I think that's what makes a woman sexy, feeling confident
In her
in your
body.
own in your own body. And I don't mean just all the way it looks, but it's like, this is
Yeah.
who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I don't have to justify it to
Absolutely.
anybody, because our bodies do change. Our
Yeah.
boobs, even in a man's chest isn't the same. His
Oh
bottom.
no.
You remember that famous scene in Sex and the City when Samantha had sex with an older guy, and he was gorgeous looking and everything, and
Yeah.
the moment he got out of bed, his bottom was really,
Yeah.
really saggy, and she was like, "I was fine until I saw the bottom."
Yeah. That's it. That's what I was teasing about about when you sit on the commode in the morning, you have your coffee, you're scrolling through your phone. It's like, and the old joke is, say wait till your boys hit the bottom of the bowl, and I'm like, fuck, that don't ever happen to me.
Thank you, Val.
Yeah, that's what I was going
Right
to say.
back at you.
That's what I'm saying. Val pops in the chat, and I'm thinking, but that was a running joke, and it's like, and they talk about the women, gravity hits, and next thing you know, everything used to be like headlights front and center, and now they look left and right. They need. And I had a friend that just had a boob job, and she's like, I went down and I got the girls aligned. I'm like, what? It's like, I'm like,
One of the reasons I've look at me touching him. That's what we do.
yeah,
We touch straight
yeah,
away, right?
yeah,
The reason we talk about them, we go straight to the boobs. The reason I've never had a boob job is because much as I like the idea of them sitting up here, they
yeah,
don't. I like the fact that mine still jiggle.
yeah.
That when I sort of I'm running down the street, they're bouncing, right?
When
And
you're
it's
chasing the basset,
exactly like, I'm trying not to do the Carry On Barbara Windsor run as she runs down the road,
yeah,
and I'm comfortable in that. And I'm like, there's something about when you're like in bed, and luckily mine are still in that direction. But people say
yeah,
they chase their boobs around here, like they
yeah,
chase them around here. And I think that being comfortable in the fact that it's like downstairs department.
yeah.
Sometimes she wants to work, sometimes she don't. And in those
No,
days that she doesn't want to work, you go, well, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
that's
We
it.
don't just have to go
Bubble
in
top.
that direction.
But and then that is, and no man wants to really be with a woman. It's like, if she's not comfortable in her body, and she's like, oh, don't touch it there, or don't do this, and it's like it's like you got a roadmap that you have played with your whole life, and next thing and what do they call it? Because I was told not to use any slang words today, since I'm filling in
Exactly.
for Val.
No rude words.
And when women have children, they get like the little poopy area, like right below their belly button, and
Yeah.
I've always heard it called a fufa or whatever, and I don't know what the medical technical name is. I'll probably trouble for that later. But I was with a woman one time, and I reached over and I thought, where the fuck do I put my hand? Because every time I touch that, I get smacked on that, and I'm in trouble. Then
Yeah.
then whatever was on the table has left the fucking chat. And Valerie said, "Be good." I am being good, and it's like,
The thing
and
is, like, I had a conversation, and my podcast hubby is in the waiting to come in. But I had a
yeah,
conversation with him this weekend, and we were talking about the body, how it gets
yeah,
older, and he was saying, it's not what it once was. And I said, the thing is,
no,
none of our bodies are what they once
no,
were. Is the fact that we're all aging, and
yeah,
unless you're down the gym all the time, or and you're watching what you're
yeah,
eating, and sometimes you can't do that because of your health, or you have
no.
disabilities, whatever. Sexiness is in here,
It's
right?
it's 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 a mental mind thing. It really is.
Sexy is, and it's like,
I
if
think
you
it's so. Therefore, I am.
exactly, and if you're really into someone, if you really love someone, or you really fancy them, you're not looking at that bottom jiggling. You're not looking at the
No,
boobs and that. You
no,
are into that person. So I'm going to bring him in because
the one and only Scotty Roberts. Yeah,
Hey, how you doing?
I have two men here today. It's lovely.
I
How
like the
about
black
that?
beanie. That's kind of my style.
I'm
That
being great. I'm being
somebody,
great. How are you? How are you doing? Have you been listening behind the?
I've been listening a little bit. I would have been here sooner, and I almost forgot. I was cooking. So,
You.
you did
but
turn the stove off. We don't want to burn down the new house.
that's
You
right. Everything's off over there, so we're good.
Yeah, because our age, they say we get a little absent-minded. We don't want to leave a stove eye burning.
But
Right?
you and I were chatting this weekend about this sort of
Yeah.
subject, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. And um, it's so funny because, at my age, I can go. Oh, and by the way, I took your advice, Wendy. A little more form
Look
fitting.
at that!
So there you
Woo!
go. Stop wearing such loose clothes all the time.
It's
I
it.
was
And
like,
so,
That's
physique off. I say that to
but
Mike.
That's it.
and I'm trying to get this off so I can show you what I was going to do. It was going to be a joke, and now it's over. But by the way, I am wearing my kilt today.
Okay. All right.
So there you go.
Looking
We're in the
fabulous.
I was going to say, it must not be that breezy.
It's
The-
not, but that doesn't matter. That's air conditioning.
That's what I'm saying, because there's only one way to wear a kilt.
When I did the Renaissance Festival years ago, all the women, the patrons, would come and say, "Well, Teehee, what does a real Scotsman wear beneath his kilt?"
Nothing.
And you go, "Why, my socks and shoes, of course."
That's right.
So anyway, got the kilt on today. It's the utility kilt,
What-
but
what-
I put this
what-
shirt on for you, Wendy.
I'm glad to say it because I said to him yesterday, why, and I've said this to Michael as well, why are you covering up your physique? You have a lovely physique and you've got to show it off.
Because it's cold outside, and I like utility. What do you call it? Utility or utility over whatever. But
The utility kilt.
yeah, but
Yeah.
no, but that reminds me of that old what is it? The old Irish song that they sing. Say, I don't know where you been, lad, but I seen you won first prize.
Yep.
Yeah. The drunken
Scottish
Scotsman.
song.
Yeah, but no, it's and when I
Man
hear
boobs. And you guys do not have man boobs at all.
no, we call them parrots. We call
I
them parrots.
I do, and I don't. I'm wearing black, so they don't.
Yeah,
They're hidden a little bit, but they're in there.
Yeah.
So, but I was going to say, you're talking about age
yeah.
and bodies and all of that stuff.
It was
And like
another-
I told you, and it actually showed Wendy. When I get up and I look in the mirror, I look like the combination of a concentration camp victim on the top, where I've lost all my muscle mass from this last year. But down below, you were talking about it a second ago, Michael. I'm like, I had never birthed no babies. Why do I have that?
It's
I got a
it.
little blotch down there.
It's like my chest fell into my drawers. It's like, when I was in the army, I was 202 pounds of, I had an older lady tell me one time I was drinking and I took my shirt off. Anybody knows me. A lot of times I'm go without a shirt still, it's a habit. And she's like, Jesus Christ, I could just do my laundry on your abs. And this old woman,
Right.
I'm thinking, holy shit, grandma's over there, she's freaking out. And one morning I woke up and I'm thinking, and I told her, I said, oh, honey, yeah, if something's wrong, I can put a shirt on. She said, the ones that's got the beer belly that hangs over their little peckers, I don't want to see. She said, but as long as you got abs and, and the pecs, she said, any woman's good with that.
I got abs. They're
You know,
just really buried in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My abs have left the chat. Too many
Most of you
sneakers.
guys have been through a lot of trauma physically and mentally as well, and it affects your body. And
It does.
talk about male menopause and the fact that it's not really talked about and guys don't really get a lot of support with it. And obviously you guys should be. And Scotty, for you, do you feel that when you hit a certain peak that your body, you felt it change?
Well, let's see. I am 65 years old, and my body still does all the things it's supposed to do.
Oh Lord.
Sorry about that. My body still does what it's supposed to. I will say this: there are times where, compared to 25 years old and 40 years later now, I might go, hey, keep up with me here. You
That's
know?
it, yeah.
So it's like age itself, but then there's other things that happen. We get things like I have diabetes. So
That's what I said earlier. Yeah.
if you have unchecked blood sugars and it's out of control, that will affect erections. It'll affect your leg. It'll affect not my leg. That's not what took my leg off, but it affects all different kinds of things in your body, all different stuff, hearts, everything as you age. Now, I will say that I stood on the scale when I first went into the hospital back in March for the first leg surgery. I was 276 pounds.
Wow.
And that's the way all of you remember me. That's right. 265 to 275 is where I've been the last few years. And now, Rocky Stucci.
Yeah.
I see Rocky Stucci in the audience. I was just talking about you, Rocky. And now I'm at 209 pounds. What's the difference there? 65.
50 pounds. About
What's
50.
76 to 9? Is take 9 off of 76, you have 67. Yeah. So I lost 67 pounds in the hospital. And so, like right now, I stood up and I'm, it's like this is the body of a 65-year-old man.
That's good.
I'm not going to reveal much more. I could.
Our ratings just went up.
There you go. Yeah, right. But I look at it because I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh man. So 65 years old, and part of this is you're talking about when you were talking about the aging body and all this, and Wendy, you and I talked about this too the other day. It was like when I was bemoaning the fact that I'm a single man now at 65, and I thought, great, you know, I'm 65. I've got one leg. I've got pockets of fat I never knew I would have. I'm really skinny. I go like this in the mirror, and you go, yes, and it goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It starts dangling under here. That's what got me as I aged. You know what I'm saying? Used to go,
right.
You know,
I got that too. You know, it's that all of this crap.
Yeah,
it's
the little underarm.
The bingo wings, isn't it? The bingo wings.
Yeah,
the bingo. There it is.
And I was talking to one of the other guys that I was in the Army with, and I told him, I said, I don't know what has happened to my abs. You know, I don't know what, you know, and if you work out a lot when you're younger, well, you have more energy, which gives you more energy because it builds all your hormone levels back up to a certain level. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I told him, you know, I talked to him quite a bit, and I'm like, I got up, I said, I still got a little definition. I said, if it wasn't for the dogs laying on my covers, I'd get no upper body workout. But, you know, people know, you know, I got to do big, and they don't give a shit if daddy's cold or not. So I'm all the time doing curls to like try to pull the covers up, and that's what keeps this toned up.
Oh, nice.
The rest
you know what I have?
The illness changed.
They gave this to me it still sits on my desk.
Oh,
they gave this
the rubber band
in the hospital, and it's like if I want to do like I'm doing, you know, pecs, and I can tighten that up, and you can only go so far with it, but it's like, oh my God, you know, and you try to get that out there, the tension. So I was doing a lot of that.
With popping and hitting people in the nose. I'd be afraid of that.
Oh yeah,
I'd be a TikTok meme real quick. I'd be saying, look at this, and it'd be.
And I got a set of little weights in there, little dumbbells that I use. My goal is to say, I don't want to ever get the bingo wings.
No.
So what do? to prevent that? How much can you prevent
Steroids.
looking that way? And then I say, is it superficial that we want to look that way? Pamela Anderson doesn't wear makeup.
Yeah.
She looks fine. Still looks
Gorgeous.
beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
But a guy like me, like Mike, like Wendy, like everybody else, we try to maintain as youthful an appearance as we can, or if not youthful, redefine that. We try to be as in good shape and look as good as we can for the age we have.
You know,
And for right now, I'm doing push-ups. I'm doing all that stuff. I'm doing crunches. I started those when I was in my wheelchair, doing crunches. And I started doing Tai Chi.
you're getting around good for a one-legged guy with a peg leg like a pirate.
That's
So
right.
I see you getting up, you know, and that doesn't. And
I said to him yesterday, I said, you know what, you always wanted to be a pirate. And you
God,
are.
now you are. You know, be careful what you wish for because you might get it. I mean, that's like I've told you just before. Get back to the guy that wrote the books, that has the adventurous mind. A relationship does not define you. It don't. And and the best way to get even with somebody who don't want you no more is do good without them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I always say. The best revenge. And this is totally off subject, but you know me.
I don't want to be flippant about it at all.
No.
Sometimes my flippancy is just my way. Of course, everybody I called today that said call me back is calling while I'm here. I don't want to be flippant about it, but the end of my relationship, and Wendy knows this, really it almost killed me.
Yeah, we saw it.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Just talking about it will bring up. I'm not emotional now. I have all this raw emotion that's still stored.
Oh, yeah.
And so it comes out. All I got to do is say the word emotion, and it'll break me.
It's like a gravity battery. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why. I didn't understand how my wife of 21 years would do this. I didn't, and I there was no going back. She's resolute, but she wants to be friendly. She wants to do all that. We can be friends. And I go, no, I don't think I can.
No.
After 21 years. And so I struggle with that. She's going to be coming over tonight to drop my cat off. And I talk to her. I talk to her whenever I can. But here's the thing. Here's the point I'm getting at is that age, and Wendy was mentioning, that's kind of why I brought it up. But this year has been probably, for me personally, the worst year I have ever experienced.
Yeah.
And I don't say that lightly. I've had rough years before, but it's usually a combination of I had to pay too many taxes this year, or my business failed this year, or I had to move or something. This was everything. And I'm not looking for sympathy at all. I'm just saying I almost died twice this year. Yeah. I was out of commission from last Christmas Day until October when they took the leg off.
Yeah.
In the middle of all that, in August, my wife announced she wanted a divorce after 21 years and told me, I still have the Dear John letter folded up in my wallet. She told me, I want to find somebody that's closer to my age, who I can grow old with, and I want to go out and date and be exciting and be validated for the first time in my life, and I want to have sex and all of this, and she still maintains that. And I listen to all that, and I say, you had all of that right here.
Yeah,
you had the bad last year, but the point I'm making is this: is that all the things I said about my health, my marriage fell apart, and it's not done yet. We still have to go through the process, and we had to wait 120 days from the day she filed until it goes live in court.
Yeah.
That 120 days expired 1 week ago today, so it's going to go live in court very soon.
Any day.
What's that?
Any day.
Any day now, yeah. And and it's joint custody. I do get my kids, and that's why I've got the bigger house. I've got bedrooms upstairs. All that. All of this happened from the beginning of this year, January to Christmas again. 1 year, Christmas to Christmas. And my daughter reminded me. My older daughter said. She sent me a thing, 2025 was the end of this 9-year cycle, the year of the snake, and the year when you shed everything, you shed the old, you do, and all of that. And then 2026 is the year of the horse, but not just the horse, the fire horse, the running, the bold, the movement. And then she sent me something else and said, be careful. The fire horse energy doesn't kick in till about the 2nd of February. So that first month is just kind of a buffer, and then it kicks in. So don't rush things. If you rush things during this period, you could flatten them. And so I'm just biding my time. And that's all if you believe this stuff and you believe in the spirituality of it. I don't know how invested I am in the spirituality, but I look at that and I go, okay, what have I got? Basically, 1 whole year, Christmas to Christmas. And I said to Wendy the other day, I said, I feel like there's lost time. I think back and I go, well, I just did that thing a couple of months ago. And I go, a couple of months plus a year. It's like the year of 2025. I remember lots of things and lots of things happen, but it's like missing time.
Because when you have ill health, it takes your life from you. And also, I remember
me in October.
When I was really ill, and I've had relapses of chronic fatigue, and I've watched my friends go out, or I've watched, my relationships go down the pan because we want to be with somebody who can actually come out with us, or, we can have a good time with. And you just think, well, what the fuck am I?
If you do not have the energy or the health to be out, there's no risk.
Right.
There's no risking of being frisky at 50. And that's like when they did the shots on my back that really, really screwed me up. I had called Wendy that morning, and and like I said, I break the fourth wall here a lot, and people tell me who watch it, they're like, you're so raw that it's lovely that people's always trying to hide behind a mask. I was like, you know what? I'm 53 years old. I'm not playing no fucking games. This kicked me in the dick, and it kicked me hard. And I remember I called her, and she asked me, she said, Michael, what the fuck is wrong with your eye? And I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with my eye. And I'm sitting here and I'm holding it up, and my whole fucking eye is drooped down, and it was a stroke. And I'm like,
oh boy.
And I'm like, I'm a 50-some-year-old man. I'm a thriller, what is it they say? Heartbreaker, life taker, thriller, killer, what I'm saying? And then when I call my doctor, he's like, oh, just a temporary side effect. Oh, so a stroke is a temporary side effect, and it put me in the bed for 6 months.
Michael, I'm the same way.
And I'm like,
right now, at my age, a little older than you. Yeah. Oh, wait. Did I just hear "Get Me Hard"? Said Rocky. Yes, you did, Rocky.
Yeah.
And at our age, we've got to start now thinking about the kinds of things. What are the things that I can do to prevent getting a stroke?
Yeah.
Aneurysm, a heart attack.
Yeah.
I'm all stitched, as most of you know. I've got a big scar running up here, but I feel it sometimes, and you can feel it's almost like those are the zip ties. You got the scar from belly button to breastbone, and I got it from ass crack to the back of my neck. And there you go. We're a pair.
And that's what I'm saying.
Shakers.
And they're talking about getting risky, or it's risky to get frisky at 50 if you got health issues. And somebody's like, oh, we're going to take and get you this younger woman. And they show you this beautiful blonde woman that's like 25 to 28 years old. It's built like a brick shit. I'm thinking, my little guy might think he's 12. You know what I'm saying? He's, he ain't worried about that. But the heart's 53. The back feels like it's 93. I want to be in traction,
It's the fact that also I went out on a date with a 25-year-old. My friend said to me, "When you got to do it, it's one of those things. You just got to go out." And he was a nice guy, so I went out. But the thing is, I actually do prefer to actually talk to someone who remembers the 80s.
It's
and
it.
the 70s.
Oh yeah.
On the first time
Who
round,
remembers the 80s?
right? I don't want to have, much as they might be young, fun, and full of all the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't want that, because it's always that thing in the back of your mind.
Oh,
When
Mrs. Robinson.
when he looks at a 25-year-old and then he looks at my body, does he compare them and go, I prefer those boobs like that, or I prefer the bum like that? And that's why I'm saying this. I think that for me, it's like you've been there, done it, ticked it off. You know what you want, you know what you don't want. And it's like sex for me. I can't just jump into bed with somebody. I don't do one night stands. You've got to get in my head before you get in my bed. And it's like, because sex is so much more in depth and wonderful, but the problem is with that, as you get older and your body doesn't always respond, or you have other issues, you've got to obviously, like, if you get with a younger person, they're kind of like, okay, let's go, and you're like, oh, hang on a minute,
up.
brace
Did you
yourself,
see Rocky Stucci just said, I'm 52, taking a bath with myself, thinking I can't go to bed before 9 listening to you guys. I'm hardcore.
Oh yeah. That's like somebody asked me. They said, "Hey, Mike, what did you do on New Year's?" I figured out that Wicked Women had been postponed, and so I looked at the dogs, and it was like 7:30. So I took something to help me sleep. Did 2 shots. I said, 2025 was a real shit year. Who am I to see it? It can leave on its own. I'm not seeing it the fuck out. And everybody's like, "Oh, didn't you watch the balls drop?" I said, "I dropped my balls right in the bed." I said, "I curled up between the 2 dogs, and I went to fucking sleep." And it's like, and I remember when I was in my 20s, I could stay up for days. They're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" You just kept going and going and going. And now
you don't want to do that now because you don't know how much time you've got left.
No, it's it.
In.
And I'm like, I went and got a haircut yesterday, and going and taking care of a few things and getting a haircut. I got back home like at 6:30, and I know and Wendy told me, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch some telly and go to bed," and I text her back and I was like, "Fuck me too," and it's like 6:30, and you know what? By 7:30, Michael Allen had came in. He's like, "Dad, you okay?" I was like, "I'd be better if you'd shut the fuck up so I can go to sleep." He's like, "But it's only," I said, I don't care.
I don't sleep
I'm
well.
home.
I get really bad.
I'm home.
Desperate for sleep, and I get in the bed and I'm like, please, I just want to go to sleep. So the thing is, I still want to go out. I still want to do stuff. I still want to look fabulous. I still want to I've got all the undies and all that kind of stuff. They're all there, but it's like I have a different brain to what I had.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, our brain
wiser and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, sex is so different now. When you get into your 50s and 60s and even late 40s, sex becomes different now. It's almost like it's about quantity. For some people, it's about quantity. They want lots and lots. For some people, it's all about quality. I want quality. Some people want quantity. Depends what you're looking for.
I just want to be there.
It's an active participant. Yeah.
Sex for me is one of those things that it's like I'll take it whenever I can get it. When I was married, it's like I was constantly trying, and I'm a very tactile person. I'm a touchy feely. You could be washing dishes at the sink, and I'll walk by and I'll just run across your shoulders while I'm walking to the other room. Yeah. I'll touch, I'll hug from behind, I'll do everything. I'm just that kind of person. Rainey and I would stand in public somewhere at a store in line, constantly sticking my pinky finger in her jeans pocket and pulling her over and stuff. All the little types of quirky things to stay close and to touch. That's the way I was. And
love language is, or what is it? Yeah, and you know what? And this is, you're talking about that love language. But when I first heard love language, I thought, this person's they're on some different shit. But that is true. Different people have different types of love language. What? And at 50 plus, do you see that if your love language changes? Because it's like I said, when you're in your, late teens, like 18, 19, 20 or whatever, like I said, you only need like a dark spot in 2 minutes. The love language is quick and get it done. You know what I'm saying? And now that when you're older, do you find that some of the love language replaces the help me out, Wendy.
Intimacy.
Yeah, instead of just the raw passion of handstands and sex swings, do you find the little things kind of replace that deep, raw, like full contact? And I used to tell people that sex was a full contact sport. If it was too much, bring a fucking helmet.
I'm going to tell you something. The older I've gotten, and I really haven't changed much my whole life that I can think of.
Yeah.
I was never a let's just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type of guy. I was never somebody either that was very comfortable having sex with somebody I didn't know very well. Because I had a few one-nighters in there and they were miserable flops for me, even when I was 25, 26, 27 years old. And because it was like, I can't, I don't know you. I'd say, why did I even come home with you? And but now I'm not any different really now. I don't think I'm not a let's just stick it in and go.
Yeah.
Ride me hard, like call me cowboy, or whatever. And that's not.
Oh.
But I'm also not I never was a. Oh, let us light the candles and we'll have some wine.
Le Pew.
Do this. My little love hypo, inject me with your love potion. I've never been that way. But it's always I always wanted it to be fun.
Yeah.
Always wanted it to be exciting. Didn't have to be fast. Didn't have to be slow. Sometimes it was fast. I mean, sometimes it was fast because you couldn't control it being fast.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, I am so over the edge. If you even touch me before you get your clothes off, I'm going to explode. And that's happened to me, like most guys. Not often.
Yeah.
But so I look at that stuff and I say, I've got my love language is one of, I like touch.
Yeah.
Touch me. I want to touch you. Sometimes for me, it wasn't even the act of sex. It was the act of get naked, get all this, and now I'm just going to plow my face in between your boobs or wherever, your armpit, your leg, your what, and I just want to feel your skin and be close. Yeah. And I'm not trying to reveal and get erotic here with anything, but sometimes it was just wrap up naked and be close. Yeah. Sometimes it was wrap up half naked and be close. Wrap up in the blankets and sheets and be close. It wasn't always about doing the deed, although many times that's what happened. It was about being there.
I know a back rub cost me or cost me child support. I ended up with 3 kids, all from a back rub.
The thing is, like when we get older as a woman, and I'm talking about in our late 40s, going into our 50s, etc. Sometimes we need a bit of help in that department, and that's why you have so many gadgets out there to choose from.
And you got to take it slow.
Help in things like this, because there was a time that your body was responded just like that, and sometimes it doesn't respond.
You should tell Rocky to call in. By the way, sorry to interrupt you there. I didn't mean to. I thought you were taking a breath.
Like, well, Rocky, you're welcome to. But
call in, Rocky.
It got to a point where you're like, now it's like, oh, I really want to, but some of my last relationship I was in, it was lovely. It was, we had a great time, and we got on really well. But the thing is, my health started to change, and then there were other issues. And as those issues became more prominent, that side of it started to get further and further back, because I wasn't in the right space mentally to deal with that. And obviously, I tried to be there for them so they didn't feel rejected and didn't feel wanted. Yeah. So I did what you do. But at the end of the day, I I actually felt I don't want to be like this. I want to be back in my full power. But you know,
But
it
that's
ain't like you was when you're 35. I'm afraid when you get in your 50s, you gotta
you know,
like
and
get the best
and
you can.
and another thing that I have seen, like long-term marriages, you could have a spouse that beats the other one down 24/7.
Sure.
And sooner or later, after you beat this workhorse day in and day out, sooner or later he quits showing up,
Yeah.
and I'm
Sorry,
like,
my phone just got message. Sorry.
and I'm like,
The thing is,
but
what I'm trying to say for you guys, little man, hopefully he works. But with women, we have to kind of even, like some of us have to talk ourselves into it, and we don't want to talk ourselves into it. We want to be that woman we were, like, just do it now. Put me against the wall, bend me over. There's the washing machine there, there's the table. Let's just do it there. We want to do that.
Top of the refrigerator?
Yeah,
pretty much,
exactly.
Okay.
The car, if you really want to go that far, but
Make sure I was on the same
But the
page.
car,
never the Impala, though. I have to say that car remains unchristened.
Really?
Absolutely.
yeah,
I was going to say something I shouldn't have said,
yeah.
and so I didn't say it.
But the smart cars have got so small anymore, and I'm a taller guy, so everybody's like, "Oh, you're not a man unless you can do it in a Volkswagen Beetle." I said, "Fuck y'all! I did it in a Pontiac Fiero."
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I did it
it-
in an old Coke can.
It's it, but yeah. If anybody remembers the Pontiac Fieros,
now,
you have to really be dedicated.
listen, the Impala is one thing, but not normal cars now. When you got back issues, you're like, and
Oh,
that's the
fuck
thing,
no,
you've
Oh,
got to be
yeah,
more
I can't
imaginative.
imagine.
no.
You've got to be more imaginative. It's like, okay, so we can't actually do this because there was a time, and the girls out there, they'll understand what I'm saying is when you get older, your back may not be what it once was, and
Yeah.
this position with your legs right
Yeah,
round
yeah.
by your head doesn't always work as well. Doesn't
No.
always work. So
I'm
you
going
have
to tell you.
After a certain age, and I was thinking about this earlier. But yeah, I used to have this friend, and like I said, because I can't use slang or whatever. But anyway, she was a friend that I saw quite regularly, and she used to tell me, she'd be like, "Fold my ass like you would fold laundry." And after you get a certain age, a woman don't want to be folded up like you'd fold your jeans or your shirt. Because like you said, the things, when you get older, things start getting, you get the bits that stick out. And I remember one time when I said something about folding, she said, "If you fold that up like that," she said, "my stomach's going to go up and crush my diaphragm, and you're going to be screwing a dead woman." And I'm like, "Oh," and I'm like,
when you're having sex, right? You haven't got all the bits and pieces inside, which we do. And when you're like going at it, like there's no tomorrow,
yeah,
all those bits inside are actually responding to that as well. And it can cause a lot of pain. It can cause a lot of discomfort. And it's like, as I said, when you're younger, you don't think about those things like that.
No.
It's just like, let's go for it. But when you're getting older, you're like, hang on a minute. But it's like some women in their 50s got the high sex drive. They're on the HRT. It's all good for them. It's go, go, go. Other women, not so. And I just, but somebody I dated once said to me, when it's all about quality, not quantity, at the end of the day, anyone can go out and get quantity, but having really quality is rare. And I thought, good point.
why can't you have
Well, see,
both?
quality is great, except who doesn't love good quality in anything? Quality would be great, but if it's quality and you get it once every 7 months,
Sure.
then that quality tends to, okay, I got to spread this quality out to last for another 7 months. I think quantity has to go along with quality. You can have great quality sex, but not frequently enough that it and then you're starting to get to physiological needs of men and women. So a man needs certain things, woman needs certain things. There are things when you get into relationship stuff, there are things about men, even at age 65, and every age all the way up to that, there are things about men that it's like men, when they start to feel like their women don't want to do that, or it's less frequent, they don't like the touch. Oh, don't, oh, I'm sore today. Oh, that hurts. Whatever it might be. that when men start experiencing that, they start to feel, and this is physiological, not necessarily conscious,
Yeah.
they start to feel as if my wife doesn't care about me. She
Yeah.
doesn't care about my contribution. She
Yeah,
doesn't care
rejected,
about what
yeah.
I do. I put out, do you think I feel like fucking going to work every day? Do you think I feel like doing this or that or that? Do you think I feel like washing the dishes today? Do you think I feel like fixing the car today or mowing the grass or all the things we can stereotypically say men do?
Yeah.
And you want to say to your wife, I'm sorry you don't feel like it. But then you start to ask the question, is it a duty? Are couples bound by duty, D-U-T-Y, quote unquote, to perform for each other?
Obligations. Yeah, that's what I always
that
thought. Not really a duty, but an obligation. You know, I have an obligation to do this or this.
I made the mistake of once saying, well, I do all these things. Do you think there is any that you are duty bound to do anything for me? And of course that's came out after all the divorce. You said I had a duty to do this, and no, that's not what I meant. There are things that we do, and we say, if I'm going to be bound to a person, I'm not talking casual sex here, Wendy or Mike or anybody else listening. I mean, when you're bound to somebody and you make a commitment to somebody, do you say there are certain things about my body that aren't just mine anymore? I am duty bound to my mate. I am bound to what's a duty? What about adultery? Is that when you take a vow to say, I forsake all others save you? That's it. You're duty bound to that commitment. So there's lots of duties we do. And there's lots of things we do to maintain the level of the relationship at a good level. Wife says, I want to see you produce. You are duty bound to produce in this family to maintain. I saw a comedian. He was once talking about this. It was black guy. I can't think of his name. It'll come to me. But he, the one that Will Smith slapped at the Oscars.
Chris Hart.
Yeah. And he was talking. He was doing a comedy bit. And he says, I love my wife. He says, I love my children. I love them and all this, our family. He says, I have found that the only people who that dads and husbands are the only people in marriages that have to produce to be appreciated. He says, if you don't produce, you're nothing. You're either kicked to the curb or this or that. He says, nobody else has that in a marriage, in a family. And I would say that for anybody out there, if you're married, guys, women, if you're married, you should be, even when you don't feel like it, you should be more than happy. Let's take it out of duty bound. More than happy to say, I will take care of my man because my man takes care of me. And vice versa. And those are the things, sexuality in a man within a marriage. What do you think a man will be like in a marriage, in his job, in everything he does, if he's denied sexuality at home? What happens to that man? He's starting to...
It screws with his head. Yeah.
It's women too. We can be with guys that are not, don't want to. I've dated them. Fuck, I was married to one. And that didn't want to have sex and wasn't sexual. And I was married for almost 6 years with a younger guy who wasn't into sex, would rather have a cup of tea. And I was in the prime, what I would say, fertile time of my life where I could have had
Yeah.
children, and sadly I spent those years being celibate, because he just didn't want to have sex. And it wasn't just me, it was like it with pretty much most of the people he had dated. And I felt like, what's wrong with me? Why don't you want me? And I would, you do all those things. You argue, you throw yourself at him, you put your sexual your undies on. And in the end of the day, it was like, oh, you're looking at them. And we'd go out and younger girls would look at him and you'd be like, oh my God, I'm older than him. I feel this. And I remember being there. And I mean, Scotty and I have had this conversation many times about when I was married to my second husband. And it was like so cold and so rejected. It was like, I felt, what is the point of this marriage? It's a sham. Because as we said many times on Robertson and Wicked Women, if you're living with somebody and you're in a relationship and you're in the same house and you're not having unless it's mutual agreement, if you're just living with them, it's a roommate. It's a friend. It's not a partner. And and I'm being honest here, without going into too much graphic things, you don't have to have sex to be physically intimate with someone. You don't have to have sex every time to actually be physically intimate. You don't. And imagination comes into a lot into that, or because it's like the thought is there, and it goes both ways, like Scotty is saying. You get a foot massage and it's like, you do things for each other because you want to.
Well, that's it.
It's not because it's duty or because it's like
an obligation. Like I said, duty or an obligation comes in.
But I never even had that in my marriage.
I'm going to warm up my coffee while you're touring.
I never even had that in my marriage. It wasn't like he did something for me and it was like literally I would get a pat on my head. Later, dear, later. And later would come. He would come home super late, probably, so he didn't have to. Super late home from work, and it never happened. And then it was like, when it did happen, it was like, let's do it once a week. So what happens is you get this pressure to have it once a week, and we've got to do it, and what day we're going to have it, and what time we're going to have it, and how's it going to look like? It doesn't work.
No, you cannot put a scheduled time on intimate or love making, whatever you want to call it.
You can't. No, and it's like, I know where. And Scotty and I had this in common many years ago because we talk about it, and I'd be like, why don't you want me? Why don't you want me? But now, looking back, it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do because obviously he's gone on to be that way. And it's like, as far as I'm aware, and obviously the last time we spoke was some years ago, is the fact that some people aren't just sexy. They're really not.
Something's wrong.
I'm only less sexually in that way because my body's going through a lot of physical stuff at the moment, so it's taking its toll on me.
But I think the Frisky at 50. But I've had younger people come and tell me, Michael, you need to go talk to him. He is not doing his his obligation here. And I actually had one. And she's like, you need to talk to him. I was like, but that's my buddy. She said, but you talk about it on Wicked Women. And she said, give him that point of view. And I'm like, I don't want to. Because it's easier to do it here than it is like face to face with somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I got
this comment from Val. Where is it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Val says if you fold her like you do laundry, she's going to paint the wall. I saw that and I about lost it. And I'm like,
hey, Terry Fitz.
But it's.
Oh my God! Wow, that's so funny. True.
True. Yeah, it is, and that's what I'm saying. Everybody changes at 50 or 60 or 70. Like I said, hell, Grandpa was getting in at 80 something. So that gives me hope. And it's like, communication, and that's another thing, and it goes back to the obligation. And if you're tearing your partner down and you've been in a long-term whatever, and you're married, it don't work. It don't work.
I can have sex with myself and be frisky with myself at 50 if I want to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nobody does me like me.
gadgets and friends of mine, if I wanted to actually say, okay, tonight, boys, which one is it going to be?
Well,
and find it. But
that ain't nothing, Wendy. That ain't nothing. I just take myself one of these, little Sharpie, and you go, you draw a little face, two little eyes, and a smiley face. You go, well, hi, partner. And so I'm never alone.
That's it.
Well, what I mean is that, when you're, you stand near the washing machine sometimes, or you're up against the counter and your body goes, oh, hello, it's still there. But because, if you don't have a lot of sex, everything downstairs gets a lot smaller, and it gets a lot, it does get a lot tighter, and it can be more painful. It's not easy sometimes as a woman to have sex in your 50s without having help. And I'm discovering that as I go along now. But it's like sexy is in here. And, I can walk in a room and you can look at someone and it's how you use your voice. It's how you look at someone. It's the whole thing, baby. It's not just one, being frisky. I can get into someone's head before I get in their bed.
How you use your voice.
It's, and there's a funny story about my voice.
What's your sign?
What was that, Scotty?
What's your sign?
What's your sign?
Coming here often? You sure are hot. Wow. You are an angel that must have fallen from heaven, and I forget how the line goes, but you know what I mean.
That's it.
So
it's true.
How you present yourself, right?
Yeah. Because the thing is, on the dating now, the dating apps. Let's look at that. Frisky at 15 for dating apps. So you're on Bumble, Tinder, Hinge, Plenty of Fucks or Plenty of Fish, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Literally, you're on all these sites, and you'll see people of a certain age, and some say, I want to look for a relationship, I'm looking for a partner, or I'm looking for fun, or I'm just looking for casual and stuff like that. And you say, I've just got out of you'll see some people write, I've just got out of a long relationship and I just want to have fun because I've not had any. And you think, Paul, we've all been there and done it and ticked it off. But the thing is, we mustn't put pressure on ourselves or anyone else to perform because because things don't always perhaps work the same way as they once did. You've got to kind of take someone for how they are and make it work between you.
Yeah. But just talking about the voice thing years ago when I'd met one and I had to go to the ER and she left me a voice message because, the phone service and now the hospital was not great. And my neighbor, she was driving me home and she's like, no wonder you did what you told. She said, that woman has a voice. And, and it was the low, you go home, you drink plenty of water, you go to bed. And she's like, I was like, do what? She's like, if I was a man, I'd do whatever the fuck she tells me to do. And it was just, and she remembers, because poor Miss Margaret, she's my buddy. And I'm feeling like hammered.
A lot of people say that to me. They go, Wendy, your voice is like when you
read the phone book.
I know how to use my voice. Over the years, I've learned it's part of me, and it's like you go from different, and your eyes and everything else. A woman. Listen, everyone's got boobs and a bum, and as I like to call them, the girl bits downstairs, and the boy bits. Like we've all got them. All have got them. That doesn't make somebody sexy. I'm sorry. You can have I've dated people that were really fit. I mean, like big, muscular, like really fit. Did nothing for me.
Oh, like I am. Oh yeah, that's what you're talking about. The big guy, like me and Scotty, them kind of guys, right? Yeah.
It's like sexy is in here.
I absolutely loved. Speaking of voices,
oh yeah,
I would have Demi Moore. Remember her in the 80s and the 90s, and she had that gravelly, sultry voice. I'm sure she could sound pretty common when she was grocery shopping. Yelling at you for not closing the toilet seat or something. Yeah. But I used to think, wow, Demi Moore is
Oh yeah.
that voice, and that was pre-augmentation, before she had the breasts done.
Yeah.
And I remember, this is still vivid. It tells you something about my psyche. But I lived in a townhome when I lived in Detroit. Well, we were way out in the outskirts, and I worked for a company as a creative director and an ad agency. And when you walk in the townhome, our door was on the ground, but inside was a stairway. And it was nice. It was decorated. It was the carpeted stairway going up right into the living room. And I had a dream one night of, I opened the front door and there was Demi Moore, naked, standing on the stairway with her hands on either side of the walls. And,
Lucky fella.
and she's like, "Welcome home, Scotty," gravelly voice. And I'm like, "Whoa, hello to me, wake up." And you're like, "No," and so I woke up. But that's how she struck me when I was a little bit younger. And she's still good looking now. And she's what? Is she older than me or younger than me? Is she 63 or 67 or something like that?
What was Sharon Stone when she did like Basic Instinct? Everybody remembers the leg cross, but her voice where she's sitting there, she's smoking, and she's like, whatever. And I forget what the old guy is, but he's older. He's about to spill his fucking coffee and about to piss his pants because he sees this woman and she uses every bit of her voice, her eyes, her body.
Sure.
And he is just, and he's supposed to be taking all these notes for this interrogation, and he's off the reservation. This man is absolutely no help because he is whipped by her womanly wilds. And I'm thinking, what taught me as a young man, know the prey you're hunting, because sometimes you might be hunted back. And when you're dealing with a woman in her 50s that wants to get frisky, she knows the tricks of the trade. She knows the game. And you're not going to come in and you're not going to bullshit them.
I actually don't find men in their 20s and early 30s. I mean, yeah, they look good, but I actually don't find them sexy. I actually find guys probably from late 40s to going into the 60s because they've got experience. You can have a conversation with them. I find what's really sexy with someone is when I listen to them and they've got life's experience, and you can talk about stuff and you can go from subject to subject to subject. And it's like, I find intelligence sexy. It's a turn on. And I also find somebody who's got an opinion and they can hold their own about whatever subject is to be sexy. I couldn't bear it where some people have to use AI now to have to write things or to have a conversation. It's like, excuse me, really? You haven't got a brain of your own that you can't write it down? And also, I mean,
men our age also have great taste of music.
He was always the guy that when I was growing up, it was Patrick Swayze or it was Alec Baldwin, because he had the voice and those piercing blue eyes. And you just thought to myself, wow. But now I look at people and I go, I don't know. I still think Russell Crowe is really hot. I still would do Russell Crowe. I think he's hot as fuck. Even if he carries a bit of a belly, he's still Maximus. Get out the outfit. It's still going to work for me.
Yeah, I was trying to think, but quick, she said Maximus, whatever, then I remember. What is it? Vinny, the lady. Yeah. She had, her name is new. And if you're here in the Tri-City area, Sports Clip, that woman works fucking magic with my hair. I couldn't figure out where she got all the gray hair that went on the cape yesterday. Yeah, mystery unsolved. But I told her, she said, "What do you want to look like?" I said, "I want to look like Vinnie Jones." And Wendy tells me, "Oh, you never smile." I'm like, "Well, Vinny never smiles." That's my hero.
I mean, Val is saying, if anyone wants to hear an older hayseed, I got you. That's so funny.
Yeah, but and I tell Val, the Appalachian accent is very close to the original Old English
accent.
Because when we came over, we got lost in
the Appalachian accent.
We were so secluded in the mountains for so long that our dialect did not change from like the Old English. Some people draw it out more, and or they talk really fast, and it all depends on what part of the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina or Southwest Virginia, where me and Val's from. And then when you go to Northern Virginia, where Ken is, I always call that Yankee Light, him and Terry. I'm like, and then and I tell him, I said, it's a very unique accent. And sometimes, she might not think it's hot, but there might be a man out there that hears her and says, I want my own Betty Sue or Betty Lou, and that is what gets his motor running. You never know what is going. And it's like I was thinking earlier
about the British, though, don't they? They listen to the accent and they go, Colin Firth. They listen to those accents and they go, oh, there's something about a British accent, because we can. There's so many different dialects with the British voice.
Or the Welsh.
The reason why my voice goes up and down like a fiddler's elbow is because years ago I had to take lessons when I was in Canada, because my accent was so strong and so fast they couldn't understand me. They'd be like, no, you need to slow it down. So I had to slow my voice down and pronounce my words better, because otherwise they didn't get it. So now when I'm over there I talk differently, for sure.
Oh, talking about lower voice and stuff. What was it? Blondie. Going with the blonde haired style that she has tonight reminds me of Blondie. That is one of the sexiest women that ever sung. And everybody's like, oh, she's old. I'm like,
good.
I am not that old.
But now I can hear her talk, like when she talks leading into a song or whatever, and I'm like, if I could have met her in her prime and my prime, that woman would have loved me forever, because just something about the way she carries herself, and and I'm like, holy shit. But it's
I mean, literally, as I said, Frisky at 50. It's for me, being frisky at 50. It might take a bit of work sometimes. It may not other times, but it's in here. You have to make love to me here before you're going to do it anywhere else. And then when you have that connection and it's like that spark and everything between you, it grows.
Can I say too that I think, yes, there are things you can do, special occasions, special times, special dates, things like that could build to getting inside the head and having that sexuality that way. Now, I'm talking with partners even. There are special occasions. But I always saw, and this is where I made a huge mistake. I always saw when with my wife and I always saw us as being, we're together, we do everything together, we go places together. What was a special time? Getting out and going to a garage sale, holding hands, walking down the street. That was a special time to me. That was, to me, a precursor to intimacy perhaps later in the day, or when we got home with goodies from garage sales. Grocery shopping could be a special time. That doesn't mean you don't do nice dates. Dates are a special time.
But
and so I don't know what you said, Wendy, that made me think of that, but I thought that there are an awful lot of things that when you are married or you're together, you're in a long-term relationship, whatever it might be, man or woman, don't put expectations on the other person of, well, I'm not putting up because you didn't buy me flowers. And maybe there's a man out there here. I'm going to give you a hypothetical. Maybe there's a man out there who bought his wife flowers, while they were dating and at the beginning of the relationship. And then there was one point where she said, I'm not really a big fan of flowers, even though you always bought me flowers. So he stops buying her flowers.
Then he's the asshole.
Well, I'll just give her a card. And then a few years later, he hears, you don't ever buy me flowers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think our relationship is dying. And you're like, and guys are like, do you know men spend a lot of their time in a married partnership bewildered? And it's like, help me. All through my marriage, I was always, help me not be bewildered. Help me be a better man.
Help me understand you.
So help me understand you.
What is the old joke?
But
The
just to
book
say,
to understand a man is about this thick, and the
but
book to
hang on a
understand a
second.
woman is.
She also needs to understand, or a woman needs to understand a guy as well, because at the end of the day, it doesn't work if there's only one of you like doing all the work. But the thing is, now you're in your prime of your life, like Michael is, like Val, like I is. We're all single, and it's like you've got the chance to be frisky, to find that frolicky fun or whatever, if you want to do that again. But you're how can I put this right way? It's like you now have this is something I am not having and I don't want. This is something I do want, but it's also like I also have to be completely realistic about where I'm coming from and what I can do and what I want. And it's the same with me. I'd love to be in a relationship with someone amazing and have great sex and all that lot, but I'm not like I was when I was 35. So now it's going to be great sex at this age.
Wendy, this is all about the communication that they talk about.
100%.
If there is one thing science fiction-y I could do with my life, I would go back to the beginning of my marriage, my relationship, and I'd take more notes. Okay, all right, let's see. Don't do the thing like that. If you could go back and say, maybe, and this is the thing. When you love somebody, the age doesn't matter. The body doesn't matter unless it's just gotten slovenly by not taking care of oneself. I could see a woman coming to a man and go, honey, you really need to lose some weight. I don't love you less, but you need to lose weight for your heart, for the way you look. I don't like the way you look on the beach laying next to me because I'm in pretty good shape. Why don't we work out? And you know what? You know what couples do? They will say, "Well, let's go do this together." Not, you better go take care of that or I'm gone. A wife to a man or a man to a wife even. How many men go with the younger secretary, stereotypically, the younger secretary, well, my wife had 3 kids and her body's not what it used to be and she doesn't like to have sex anymore. She cut her hair short. She doesn't approach me. She doesn't woo me any. I'm not appreciated for my work. And I'm stressed out. I'm going to go fuck the secretary. And
That used to be the big American thing. Everybody, they called the secretary the home wrecker because, she wrecks many homes. But I was sitting there listening, and when you work from home or you spend a lot of time with your spouse, sometimes I think that could kill that I'm having a hard time getting that word out. But the lovemaking prospects, because if you're with them 24/7, and that's like me and Wendy had just told a young man that is head over heels. I don't know what happened to him. I thought I had put more into him, but anyway, I told him, I said, "Well, goddamn, she can't miss you if you're always up her ass.
Well,
you got to leave before you can be missed. If you're there 24/7."
I had an office at home, a studio in my home.
Yep.
And Rainey had one right across the room from me. We had a sofa and stuff in the middle, and it was over there. We were always together, always doing things, and I was told, you never take me on a date. And I said, my whole life is a date. We go everywhere together.
Yep.
Let's do something special. Let's do that. But then you're together all the time. But then I remember the one time, and I've told this story, maybe not here. When I went to Egypt, the second time I was in Egypt, I was gone for a month. I came home, and the next morning I'm downstairs. I'm at my computer. It's all the hellos, wife and all that, and kids. Downstairs, I'm working on my computer, looking at emails, and getting reacclimated to my office, shaking the sand out of my shoes. And Rainey comes down the steps, and she's naked. And she comes over to my desk chair, straddles across me. She goes, "Kids are watching cartoons, buddy. You got 8 minutes." And I'm like, "We can do it twice." No, but those are the times where you find ways and times to do things. And I don't know what my exact point is. I strayed from my initial point, but into response to what you're both saying. Michael, when you're saying when you work together, well, and then
when you spend all your time together, they can't miss you because you're always with them.
You do
this situation was I had been gone for a month.
Yeah. So absent makes the heart. Yeah. What is it? Absent makes the heart grow fonder. And I think there is something to that. And you was talking about the kids are watching cartoons. When the kids was little, Barney, you know what I'm saying? You could put Barney, talking about Gen X. You put the damn Barney tape in the VCR and you hit play, and you got I think at the time it was 18 minutes.
Sure.
And I'm like, holy shit.
Yep.
You love me, I love you, Mr. Nickelback. It's like I had a whole game set of plans and moves worked out, and I could do it to the Barney theme song. And I'm like, holy shit, I am a certain kind of sick person.
Well, I can honestly say here we are, all single at all different stages of our life. And I'm hoping that the rest of my 50s are frisky. That's something that very much I hope to get back, that part of me which has been gone for quite a long time. So that's something that, I see in the distance, not sure how it's going to look or where, but that's something I'm hoping to find, as I hope you guys do as well, because we all deserve a bit of friskiness.
That's it.
In our life.
Yeah, look, even Vampire's frisky tonight. Look at him.
I just said I'm getting attacked by my cat here. You wait till Bob turns up. He's going to be doing this to you.
Oh, yeah, Bob, my cat.
Bob Saget.
I'm not taking the dogs. I'm taking Bob Saget.
That's what I'm saying. You know what?
He's coming over tonight. He's being dropped off tonight.
What is it they say?
Bob's coming home.
Yeah, Bob.
Coming home.
And and a lot of times, my ideal of frisky is I go to bed past a certain time, and and my pillows ain't organized just right. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's my idea. That's how risky things is. Everything is a risk management now. If I stay up this late, will I oversleep in the morning? It's like old age sucks. It really does.
Well, you're not old. You're only you're in your prime. Just remember that.
That is a question. I know we're coming near to wrapping up here, but if I'm correct, but I know what my age is.
Yep.
But there are times, I don't really feel like I don't feel like I'm getting old.
No.
I feel my head is like I'm 27.
That's right.
And now my energy was low this year because of everything that happened this year.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't have physical energy. It doesn't mean I'm not strong, or as we used to joke around, strong like ox, smart like cart. But I'm strong. I'm regaining strength. I don't have that feeling like, I got to take it easy now because I'm in my 60s. I see 60s as young old, not old. Yeah. And so I can still do things I did in my 20s. At 60, I still have a good, this is me saying it, but I'm saying it for a purpose. I have a decent physique. I have a good musculature. I am strong. I've learned to be stronger since I was in the wheelchair because I gotta, you gotta lift yourself up. You gotta run around on one leg, grabbing things and hopping. Before I had the prosthetic, and now I'm on a prosthetic that's trying to redevelop all of those muscles. And so I see myself right now. Yeah, I'm 65. And one thing that's different is my chest hair turned white. So I shaved it off. I didn't have much anyway.
That's a sin. But the thing is, you're only 65. Only.
Right. And I start thinking, do I have 10 viable years left before I start getting elderly? I look at a lot of 80, I look at William Shatner. Now, he's a unique case. He's,
Oh, yeah.
94 years old
Kurt.
and looks 65,
Excellent.
or what used to be 65 to 70. He had a pretty vibrant life, I think, all the way through the 70s and 80s. But
what's the other captain now? Jean-Luc Picard.
Right.
He's what's his name? But he's still
Patrick Stewart.
he still does very well. And Sam Elliott. I
want
watched.
to be viable. I want to be virile. I want to be all those things that go with being a man. And I don't feel that. I know I've aged, but I'm not like, oh, I can't do that because I'm getting old. That doesn't happen to me all that much. Knock on wood. I've had health issues because of my heart, in my.
That's kind of. But I just saw the latest episode of Landman, and Sam Elliott is playing like
good looking man.
He's playing like the older dad that is beat up and whatever. Sure. And not to run the episode, but Billy Bob,
I like that.
Whatever his name is. He goes and gets him a stripper for his physical therapy, and then and here's Sam, and Sam plays the poor old broken down old guy well, and they're laying in the pool for aqua therapy, and he's like, so what you're saying is you want me to get into the pool with you, have whatever while you swaddle him in your arms or whatever. He's like, I'm old, honey, I'm not just that damn dead yet. And I'm thinking, that is the ideal for.
Well,
because Sam Elliott.
Packing you too. Sorry, there was a World War III on the floor. Stop it.
There could be bloodshed.
That there's always you can always play a good tune. Many a good tune played on an old fiddle. That was the word.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the subject tonight. I'm sorry that Val is not with us because she was looking forward to doing this subject with us, but I'm sure hopefully she will be back next week. Leave him alone, or I'm going to. Honestly, it's the cat. The cat is attacking the dog. Now, next week, we will be back next Sunday, 9:00 UK time. Michael, give us the times for over there.
4:00 Eastern, 3:00 Central.
Wait, what time? What time are you going to be on? Because
it is 4:00 Eastern, 3:00 Central.
I always thought it was 4:00 Central.
It used to be. It used to be. We used to come on 5:00 Eastern.
Yeah, because I changed the time because I used to do 10 o'clock, but now it's 9.
And it was after midnight. She was
9 6 hours. So it's 3. Okay.
Yeah, because she would. It would be 1 or 2 o'clock time she got into bed, and it just wrecked her for the rest of the day.
Ruined my beauty look. So we will be back next Sunday at 9 o'clock. I haven't put the promo on it yet. As I said, we've got some really good shows coming up. Dwayne Klassen is coming back. We've also got AJ and The Rescue, and there's a few other bits and pieces coming in as well, which you'll find out as we go along. Also, I hope that we get to see Robertson back one of these days.
I do too.
Because
working up to it.
We've been off the air for quite a while.
We'll have to do a live show together.
It would be really nice
to have. Room.
Exactly.
On the same mic. Yeah.
No, wouldn't that?
Yeah. We need to get what was it called? Intrepid Radio back. I always come on Scotty Show on Intrepid Radio.
I don't think I'll ever do Intrepid Radio again, but I am doing. Can I mention what I do? I do the Captain's Log. Most nights around 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. That would be 6 a.m. in the morning. No. I'm sorry. It'd be 4 a.m. Great Britain time. But I'll do the Captain's Log. And I started that this summer as being a 5 to 10 minute, thing every day. Yeah. And sometimes it goes a little longer. So join me. I'm just doing it right now on Facebook, live stream.
And TikTok. I've seen it on TikTok.
I post the rebroadcast up on TikTok. Yep. So I'm going to start using StreamYard again probably and doing that live. So it broadcasts live to all my different socials. And there we go. So if you
And
want to,
also,
Yeah, and
like
like I said, I'm still looking for a co-host for Unapologetically Male. I need somebody to help steer the ship because sometimes my rudder comes out of the water. And I was going to tell Val, I love sitting in for that to help the ladies. You know what I'm saying? And
you
and I
done
always
really
tell everybody to like and like and share, comment. The
like,
algorithm
share,
likes it.
subscribe. Michael, you did really well. I'm really proud. Thank you so much
I'm
for
highly medicated with what is it? They always say the ADHD. Yeah, there's a medication for that, and it's but
you've
like I
done
said,
really, really well, really, really well tonight. There was no squirrel at one point.
field guide.
I
Sorry.
will.
yeah.
Yeah, I just seen Phil Guy come on, of course, right at the end. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna bring the show to an end. Thank
Yes,
you so
ma'am.
much for watching Wicked Women, for sharing, liking, subscribing, for supporting us. This is our 3rd year. Can you believe that? 3 years of Wicked
That's
Women.
great.
Before we close the show, Steve noticed some of the new headshots that we did, and I looked at the one that she usually puts up when I come on. And I'm like, fuck me, that don't look like me no more. I got a fresh haircut. I need a better hairstyle. So I'm standing in front of the flag, and I'm like, she like smile. I knocked my parcel. I'm like, I'd rather have the Vinny look. I'd rather have that. You mess with me, I'll tear your soul out look. Because I did that for years in the army, and now and then I even told her 2026 might be the year I get, to let everything kind of even out with the health issues and everything, because I feel better every day, and it gets to me, be happy, and I haven't had a good belly laugh for a long time until I seen Val talking about farting with folding laundry or whatever, and I'm like, holy shit. So, but so 2026, year of the horse. I asked a lady that cut my hair.
You're the horse.
Yeah, year of the horse. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, never mind.
And but I asked her, I said, when is Chinese New Year? She's like, oh, what do you ask? Oh shit, I'm probably in trouble. But anyway, and I'm like, because I want to know. And she's like, why? I said, because we're leaving the year of the snake, entering the year of the horse. And she's like, oh, really? You follow, ancient Chinese water? I was like, yeah, I was born in the year of the rat, and all this. I said, I had some of the traits. She's like, oh, so interesting. And she's got these clippers going around my hair and the scissors. I'm thinking, maybe I need to quit asking dumbass questions, or she might nip an ear or something. And I'm like, we don't want that. But no, but like you said, it's February the 14th is when the new Chinese New Year starts. So that's when the year of the horse.
8th? Is it or is it the 8th? I can't remember.
She told me that
I thought I heard the 2nd. So
I was thinking she told me it was like the 14th or something.
Fire horse. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The year of the
fire horse.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, 2025 was so shit and so awful that I never want to ever have a year like that again. So I'm hoping 2026 is a lot better. I've had the company of 2 lovely men. One is my my podcaster hubby, and long term friend, and the other one, Michael, is you've supported us so much. Thank you so much for all that you do for Wicked Women, and you've done fabulously tonight.
I carry the banner, honey. You know what I'm saying? I'm your knight in tempo. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one carrying the Wicked Women banner. It's like they can throw rocks and sticks at me, and I tell them like Monty Python, but fuck you, it's only a flesh wound. And you just got to keep driving ahead. And
some of us have to get our beauty sleep, and these looks,
yes,
we have to work for them. So I'm going to say good night. I'm going to get something to eat before I go to bed. But listen, I love you both. Thank you so much for being a part tonight. I have to take us out again, and this doesn't always work, so bear with me. But please join us next week on Wicked Women. You can't beat Sunday without having a little bit of Wicked, and a little bit of Wicked is what you fancy. And Scotty, I'll talk to you later. Michael, thank you so much.
Yes.
And I will see you soon. She says, looking for the music. Let's see if this works.
Hey, Kelly.
Kelly Bell popped in at light. She had to watch the replay.
You missed it. All right, my darling. See you later.
Yes, love.
All righty.